Welcome to my channel. If you like the content, please subscribe for more.
A final email to wife. Wife cheated. Day was Easter 2022. She claims it was Ia. Guy was long distance, but given it went on for 7 months, it's possible it wasn't, and circumstantial evidence. In circumstantial evidence, including a meme that says 7 hours with right person feels like 30 minutes suggests otherwise. Other shady stuff in the past before this latest affair. I'd say without question she has been physically unfaithful. We almost have divorce complete. I have gray rocked for about 3 weeks for the first time since last April. 2 young kids, so can't completely cut contact, unfortunately. She is 50-50ing. The fault of the divorce, of course, to my face, and of course probably putting it all on me behind my back. As a very logical person, I want to write one final email to her, outline the demise of our marriage and her main responsibility for it. Make my case one more time that she did physically cheat. Show her who she is with logical proof. I know it will be met with some short, careless response like, "I never cheated on you, and we both had a part." I also want to lay everything out for my kids to read in the future with evidence in a separate email. Nothing too crazy, but making sure they know she cheated, that she is a massive liar, and that her grievances on me are really trivial, though of course she labels me as an abuser. It's been a few months since I sent her anything like that, text or otherwise, and I feel like it might be helpful to me to just put it out there, even though it disrupts the gray rocking I am finally doing. Thoughts. Redditors' reactions. Next story after. Redditor 1. No, write a few dead letters and be done with it. These are letters you write but do not send. It's a good form of journaling for people who hate journaling. Nothing you write will open the eyes of someone who is intentionally blind. Do not break gray rock. Do not provoke her until the ink on the judge's signature is dry. Do not lose your cool until your rights are protected within every inch of the law. You have decades to turn your nose up at her and make it clear who was really at fault. Don't blow it at the goal line. If you get an unsportsmanlike conduct call now, you'll lose it all. Redditor 2. I know you are hurt and want this email to provide closure. From what you wrote, it will not really provide the closure that you hope for, as she will not take it seriously. Instead, I would suggest that you two focus on the future and how to ensure you are civilized and ensure best care and co-parenting for your kids. The past, unfortunate, is for you to deal with while we're hurt. Redditor 3. Why are you trying to convince her she cheated? She knows she cheated. You know she cheated. She knows she's cheated. She knows she's lying. You know she's lying. By continuing to argue the point, all you're doing is showing her that this is still a matter of discussion, but it's not. The case is closed. If you're doing the 180 and you're committed to separate, there's no use debating the past with her. Any discussion should be what's required for the kids or the divorce. The more you can do through a lawyer, the better. Story 2. How I escaped my monster in-laws and started living my best life alone. True story. Hello, everyone. I recently had a conversation with someone that didn't end so well. We had some misunderstandings, and it led to us saying hurtful things to each other. I said, "I get it, I'm leaving." And they replied with, "What? I don't think we understand each other anymore." Fine then, get the hell out of here. Yeah, I'll leave. Don't regret it. What? Who are you? Of course, well, it's none of my concern anymore. Me too. Don't ever show your face in front of me again. All right then, from now on, you're on your own. I know that my behavior during that conversation wasn't the best, but I'm trying to move past it and learn from my mistakes. In fact, I'd like to share a little bit about myself to give some context. My name is Greg, and I'm a 30-year-old unsuccessful novelist. I stay at home as a house husband while my wife, Levi, works as an editor-in-chief for a woman's magazine. We've been married for 2 years now, and we actually met at a blind date party. She was chaperoned by a friend and was 10 years older than me, but we hit it off, and after a year of dating, we got married. When we got married, my wife told me that she wanted me to be a house husband while writing my novel, so that's what I've been doing. I do cleaning and laundry every day, cook meals, and write novels in between. I was living my life at my own pace, and at first we had a reasonably happy married life. However, things started to change after we moved 1 year ago. Levi told me that her parents were getting older and she thought there would be a lot more challenges for them, so she suggested that we move closer to them. I didn't want to live with them, but she suggested we live nearby instead. I appreciated that she was also thinking about me, so I agreed to the move. A year ago, we moved to an apartment near my in-laws' house, and everything seemed to be going well until that conversation I mentioned earlier. It was during a housewarming party for my in-laws, and I was preparing a dish to go with the nice bottle of wine that my wife promised to bring. My in-laws seemed to enjoy the meal, and I was relieved until my mother-in-law said that she didn't like the way the steak was cooked. It was a small thing, but it triggered me, and I started to feel like a failure. I think my behavior during the conversation was a result of me feeling inadequate as a house husband and writer. But I know that's no excuse for the way I acted, and I'm willing to work on myself to become a better person. As I sat down on my cozy sofa, I couldn't help but feel mentally drained from entertaining my in-laws. Don't get me wrong, I love my wife's parents, but hosting them always feels like a job that I never signed up for. From cleaning the house to cooking their meals, I have to take care of a lot of things. By the end of their visit, I felt like I just finished a full-time job. So I decided to treat myself and change into my loungewear, just to relax as much as I could. As a reward for my hard work, I opened a cold beer and took a sip, feeling the bitter taste refreshing my taste buds. However, my relaxation didn't last long, as my wife broke the news to me that her parents were coming over again, just 2 days later. They wanted to have Japanese food, and of course we had to take care of them. I didn't expect the next visit to come so soon, but I tried to put on a smile and agreed to. The rest of the morning I spent thinking about what to cook for dinner. We went to the supermarket early to stock up on all the necessary ingredients. There were many things I had to buy, and it was quite a task. That night, my in-laws came over with my wife, and I could feel my heart racing. They loved the simmer dish I made. The grilled fish was cooked just right, and they even complimented my beer choice. "You're such a good cook, Greg," they said. "I can enjoy many things that go well with alcohol. Isn't that right, Greg? You're very good at housework and cooking. It makes me want to come back and eat again." Their compliments felt great, but I couldn't help but dread the thought of them coming back the next day. "Oh my, you don't mind if we come back tomorrow, do you, Greg?" my father-in-law asked. "It's totally fine," I lied through my teeth, trying to hide my exhaustion. The next day, they came over again, and I had to think about what to cook for dinner yet again. My in-laws were becoming more and more demanding, asking for drinks, specific meals, and even telling me to keep it simple. "I want Chinese food, so I'll have shrimp chili and spring rolls, please," my mother-in-law ordered. It was becoming a lot of work, and I couldn't help but think that they were taking advantage of my hospitality. "Whoever says those kinds of things has never cooked before," I muttered under my breath. "You're the one who always gets fed without doing anything." As days passed, my in-laws continued to visit frequently for dinner, and they became more and more demanding. "Greg, can you get me a beer?" my father-in-law asked. "Oh yes, I'll bring it right over," I replied with a forced smile. At one point, I couldn't take it anymore, and I decided to talk with my wife about it. "Hey, your parents come to our house too often," I said. "Oh, really? But they seem to be having fun, so it's fine," she replied. "I'm not having fun at all. I had to take care of them, and it's hard to cook for them," I explained. "What are you talking about? You're having fun too. Aren't you tired too?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was my wife even listening to me? Did she think that I was just a convenient housekeeper? I was starting to distrust her a little bit. It made me wonder how many people in the world feel unappreciated for the work they do in their relationships. It's easy to feel taken for granted when you constantly give and don't receive any acknowledgement or gratitude in return. I don't think my wife intentionally ignores my efforts, but I do wish she would understand how much work it takes to prepare meals and entertain guests. In the end, I decided to talk to my wife about my feelings. We had an open and honest conversation about our expectations and the roles we play in our relationship. She listened to my concerns and agreed to help me in preparing meals and entertaining her parent. With her support, I felt more appreciated and valued. Our relationship grew stronger, and I realized that communication is key in any relationship. It's important to express your feelings and be open to express your feelings and be open to hearing your partner's thoughts as well. Now, whenever her parents come over for dinner, it's a joint effort between my wife and me. We work together to make sure they feel welcomed and comfortable, and I no longer feel like I'm carrying the burden alone. It's a small change, but it has made a huge difference in our relationship. As I sat there listening to my friend's advice, I couldn't help but feel a sense of frustration and anger building up inside of me. How could my wife be so oblivious to the chaos she was causing in my life? I had always been accommodating to her and her family, but it seemed like things were only getting worse. My friend suggested that I invite my own family over for dinner and see if my wife would understand my pain. At first, I thought it was a great idea, but then my wife's true colors showed. She became defensive and angry, stating that my parents were not as welcome as hers. Her words hurt me deeply, and I realized that I had lost all affection for her. When I told her that I was leaving, she didn't seem to care. In fact, she was almost happy to see me go. It was then that I knew that our marriage was over, and I began to plan my departure. After packing my bags, I returned to my parents' house and filed for divorce. Although it was a difficult decision to make, I knew that it was the right one. If I had stayed, I would have continued to feel trapped and suffocated, and it would have taken a toll on my mental health. In the end, I realized that I deserved to be happy, and I couldn't let anyone else dictate my life. It was a hard lesson to learn, but I knew that it was a necessary one. Now, I am free to live my life on my own terms, and I couldn't be happy. Updated. Hey, everyone! I wanted to share an update with you all since my last post. As some of you may remember, I mentioned that I had a difficult encounter with my ex-wife when she unexpectedly showed up at my parents' house after a long period of no contact. Since then, things have taken a turn for the worse. After that incident, I continued to focus on my writing and was making good progress. However, my ex-wife contacted me again, this time asking for my help. She explained that her parents had gotten so used to me cooking for them when I was at their house that they had stopped doing any housework. As a result, their house had become a mess, and they couldn't live there anymore. So they moved in with my ex-wife. Now, my ex-wife is stuck cleaning up her parents' mess every day while also working and cooking for them. It's been really tough on her, and I feel bad that she has to deal with all of this. But at the same time, I can't help feeling frustrated and angry with her parents for putting her in this situation. To make matters worse, I've also been struggling financially. Since I've been spending so much time helping my ex-wife, I haven't been able to work as much as I would like to. This has made it difficult for me to save any money or pay rent, and I'm starting to feel the strain. It's been a tough few months, but I'm trying to stay positive and keep pushing forward. I know that things will get better eventually, and I'm hopeful that I can make progress with my writing again soon. In the meantime, I'll keep trying to help my ex-wife as much as I can. As for my ex-wife, I can't say I feel sorry for her. She made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. It's not my responsibility to take care of her parents or clean up after them. That's her job now, and she needs to figure out a way to handle it on her own. Honestly, I'm just glad to be rid of those monster in-laws. They were always so demanding and annoying, and it's a relief to no longer have to deal with their constant requests for food and attention. I'm looking forward to moving on with my life and hopefully meeting someone who is a better match for me in the future. Story 3. My life fell apart due to one screenshot. I can't help but feel a heaviness in my chest as I recall those turbulent months. Even though it's been a year since everything went wrong, the memories continue to bother you like an unwanted visitor. Although it was never simple, working for a non-profit advocacy organization was always rewarding. The CEO of the company was my best friend, and our small team of 5 people worked well together. The situation began to deteriorate at the start of the year, though. It was clear from my friend's behavior that she was having mental health issues. She stopped coming into work and she stopped talking as much. She sent a message stating that she needed time off, but did not include a time frame for returning. I stepped up to the plate because I knew I had to pick up the slack and keep things running smoothly. I assumed her duties and began assigning tasks to the other team members, but it wasn't simple. I was experiencing my own mental health crisis as a result of a resurfacing cyberstalker. I made an effort to contact my friend despite everything, hoping to help her in any way I could. I called her, spoke with her on the phone, and even set up a meeting with her, but every time she would abruptly cancel, leaving me disappointed. Our organization started to fall apart over time. There were a lot of things that needed to be done, but we had no power without our CO. We were attempting to hire a new advocate and open a bank account while the board of directors was attempting to get in touch with her. But everything came to a complete halt. I couldn't blame the rest of the team for becoming agitated and frustrated. Due to our CO's absence, we presented the impression of a group of amateurs who lacked professionalism. I was aware that I needed to act, but I was worried about the repercussions. My friend might lose her job if I spoke to the board of directors, and I didn't want that to happen. I continued to defend her despite the fact that doing so was hurting rather than helping. When the board vice president informed one of the members that she would be resigning, everything came to a head. The CFO made a similar statement as well. They had good reasons for doing so. The CEO and president of the board were behaving improperly and were nowhere to be seen. It was obvious that action was required. At that point, I called my friend and asked her to return so we could meet. I informed her that in order for me and another advocate to continue working while she attended to her mental health, we needed her to sign away her CO authority to us. I see now that this marked the beginning of the end. Tensions were at an all-time high after the disastrous meeting. My friend was on guard and resisted giving up the reins. The rest of the group was irate and frustrated. In the end, nothing was accomplished, and we were left in the same position as when we began. Since that day, a year has passed and our company has never fully recovered. After a while, my friend resigned from her position, and the board of directors underwent significant changes. However, the harm was already done. Through it all, I discovered a crucial lesson. Sometimes shielding someone from the truth can cause more harm than good. I regret not speaking up and acting sooner, even if it meant losing a friend. However, I can only draw lessons from the past and work to improve my performance going forward. The CEO confided in me about something she had asked me to keep private as the meeting got underway, opening up about her mental health crisis. I was in a challenging situation because I was a required reporter. The CEO then allegedly accused me of pressuring her into making an early return to work while implying that I had been insensitive to her struggles with mental health. Even worse, she complained that nobody had helped her out when she was in need. Because I had contacted her at least 7 times, I was discouraged by her accusations. I had done everything in my power to help her through her mental health crisis because she was my closest friend. Later that night, the CEO attacked me in a hostile text message for not doing more to support her. I was completely taken aback by the message because it was so out of character. I made the unfortunate decision to share the text in our team's group chat out of concern for my safety. She received the screenshot from her boyfriend, who regrettably was still in the group. The CEO immediately severed ties with me after being understandably hurt and furious with me. I admitted my error and apologized fervently, but the damage had already been done. I had trouble understanding the gravity of the situation and how to react appropriately because I am an autistic person. I was trying to help my best friend through her struggles with her mental health while also resolving my own legal and safety issues. I still feel like I failed her despite my best efforts. When the CEO accused the team of breaking HIPAA regulations and failing to assist her during a mental health crisis, things got worse. The board of directors called a meeting. where they berated us for not supporting them and ultimately decided to dissolve the business. I now understand that the effects of my actions were extensive. My job was lost, my home might be next, and my best friend was hurt. Even though I should not have shared the screenshot, I had no idea that it would have such negative effects. If you ever read this message, please know that I sincerely apologize to my best friend. I admit that I failed you and everyone else in this situation. Despite my best efforts to act morally, I made a terrible error. I acknowledge and accept the possibility that I will always be the antagonist in your narrative. I truly apologize for my actions and the suffering they brought. My future is uncertain, to be honest. I'm attempting to accept what has happened and decide how to proceed. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1. She wasn't doing her job and the company was failing because of her. You didn't bully her. She had a responsibility for a job and she wasn't doing it, and I assume still being paid. She wasn't a friend. She was wrong and the vile one. Redditor 2. The fact that you don't realize you were a victim in this situation hurts me. Redditor follow-up. It's so frustrating to read. She's got no reason to be so apologetic. The friend failed her in so many ways. She should be the one saying, sorry. Redditor 3. You didn't deserve that. It sounds like she needed someone to be angry at, and unfortunately, you became that person. When you're in crisis, it is much easier to be angry than sad. But like the others said, she failed you and your team. I'm so sorry. Redditor 4. Why do you keep apologizing? She failed you guys. It isn't the reverse. Redditor 5. After that, she called the president of the board of directors and told them about how the team had failed her in a mental health crisis and violated HIPAA law. What? The most any workplace owes her is access to 5 EAP session, a performance improvement plan, and a final warning. Legally, there is not one person whose job it was to maintain her mental health. None of you are her doctor. I don't know what she thinks coworkers are supposed to do. It's 100 not accurate and incredibly inappropriate. Work is for workers are not your friends, or your coworkers are not your friends or your family. They do not owe you love or emotional support. They owe you the work they are contractually obligated to perform at the rate set in the time frame given. Your Beth cost you your job, not anyone else. The only thing I'd have done differently is send that screenshot to the board and say that she is incompetent to work and they need to step in. Redditor follow-up. That's it, especially the last sentence, and this needs to be higher up. This person has done enormously wrong to you, Op, and they need to be held accountable.